problem.
Okay. So I'll just share my, oops. I'll share my screen, and then if someone has something different, we can do what we need to do. Let's do Brentwood first.
Let me gotta find my spreadsheet.
Oh, I guess right now, because that's how the agenda is spread out. We'll follow the agenda. So we'll start with right now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, so on the, I don't know, I didn't use that. I was looking at the ones in the case study, but Becca, what were you talking about, the numbers? Was it this one that you were talking about?
I was talking about the Brentwood,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, we can start with this one.
So I just chose the low, high, and then the average. That's how I got that number. Did you guys get similar numbers?
Close to. Did you actually calculate the mid?
No, I just used what they had as the average.
Okay.
Oh, I used the median. I thought it was the median. I guess
He said use either.
Okay. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I feel like maybe for the group paper, we should probably just pick what, like, maybe use Natalie's numbers.
Okay, that's fine with me.
And they're probably not that much different.
Yeah, it's gonna be
No.
close.
Okay, so I guess we just need to choose. Okay, so this is where I was confused because he had a whole bunch of extra things like this share thing and then the percentage. Did you guys get that?
I got the IRR and the second one there. I didn't get, like he said something about looking back in the case for the investors percentage goal that he wanted. I don't know if that 50-90%, I don't know if that's it.
That's
Or
that's what I assumed because it was in this where was it? Right here. It was
I mean, if it was in the reading somewhere, that must be it.
where was it? It was like 1, 2, 3, like that, but oh, here it is. This one. Deliver
Okay.
50 to 99%. I guess 99%. Is that, do you think what they were talking about?
Don't think so. Isn't in that section? That's year over year growth. I don't think that's the.
Yeah, I think that's different from the rate of return.
I don't know. I mean, the rate of return wasn't hard to do in that section. You kind of went through it in the video. Well, I think. I don't know. I could have done it wrong.
I think he threw out numbers in the video.
Yeah.
He put dummy numbers in and he said you'll have to go to the case to find the real numbers.
Yeah.
So did you
I
guys
don't.
I hadn't gotten to that part yet.
I kind of gave up. I was like, I'm not searching through this case again for those numbers. I
Okay, so
I don't think
negative
we need those numbers to do those calculations though.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
You know,
we might not need them for the valuation, but we probably need it for,
the analysis.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's actually in the questions, case study questions, like our prep. So if Greg's investors are seeking 30 to 50% internal rate of return, what exit value will they expect? So it's 30 to 50.
Which questions?
Uh,
Oh, in the agenda.
our discussion questions
Oh, okay.
Oh,
right there. So it's the third bullet on number 2.
classic.
Okay. And the IRR formula, he did like a IRR, right?
Yep. Then negative and then the series there.
Am I supposed to have numbers here?
No. You just gotta, from what I understand, just kind of pull and do that whole section, including that green.
Well, he entered numbers for 2003.
Yeah, because you have to have a
Yeah.
number.
So, well, I did it in reverse. That number there, I think,
So what
is
number do you have in this box, Nathan?
I have the 12% equals 12% times the valuation, I think, is what I had. Oh, let me see what I got. Oh, you have to do potential value. He did it in the video, but it's not on the spreadsheet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to calculate the potential value, and you do that by F35,
It was
32.
this. It was like 2 times and 3 times. It was like,
Where's that spreadsheet?
it was this, 2 times this.
Yeah, the 129. 29. Yeah, the series being 29. I think I think it's both the series B, the 129.
Yeah,
I think
because it was post money.
you did 3 times the series A investment on the second one.
Oh, oops. I did not mean to do that.
You're good.
There we go.
Wow, that's lower than my number.
You
That's
did
what he
3
had in the
times?
video.
What?
That's what he had. The 387 is what he had in the video.
Yep.
So then what are the numbers here? 12%. Oh, yeah. So it's this number times this number, right?
Whichever one you choose, I think, and then you figure out if it fits in the range or not.
We do 2 times.
Hold on, I have the video up.
Yep. And then it's IRR.
He had a different number.
There's the spreadsheet.
He had a different number?
Yeah, for Series A, he had 45. I don't know if that was just because he just popped it in there. Hold on.
45 where? In this number?
Yeah,
45%?
33. Hold on, let me watch the video to see what he says about it. So what he says, he doesn't do an equation for that because he says that they get the percentage. So Series A gets 13% of the valuation, Series B gets 12%.
Mm-hmm.
So he put in an estimate for 45, and then he did the equation for the rate of return, which then popped up that percentage for you to say like whether or not it was like within the percent rate of return range.
This is the share. This is the
Yeah.
So that's the 12 and the 13%. But I don't know where he got 45.
I think he just dropped it in there.
I think it's him just putting in random numbers.
Yeah.
Those
So-
numbers make
So
sense.
I think he was like, it's essentially saying like if their share of the valuation was 45,
Mm-hmm.
was that within the numbers he used was 25 to 60%. So is that within range of what they were looking for?
Yeah, so you can switch that number between the 2 and the 3. So for example, you could switch the cells over just to compare them. Like, and it'd change it. I think that's what he's meaning. Because that would
Okay.
fit in. The other one
Do it
wouldn't.
3 times. Then it works.
Yeah, so it just gives you an idea, like, so you can play with the numbers to determine what the valuation needs to be to satisfy the investors based on the percentage.
Here we go.
Bless you. So it'd be 3 times.
Okay. And then we just have to pick which one. Valuation based on your analysis. It's annoying. Isn't that spelled wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it seems like we're saying that the value of the company needs to be 3 times the current value for the investors to be satisfied. Accurate?
Yep.
Yes, but I don't think that applies to this section. I think it's just what we rated at. Because I think we kind of did that backwards.
Okay, that's fair.
So what value would we place on right now technologies?
I don't know. I put it high because I mean that company seemed like it was to
For
take
the
over a lot of
equity market, I would put like at least the mid range for the first one.
I put the 4.5 as well.
So at least 161. That doesn't specify equity market value versus M&A transaction. I think he says we're supposed to give a range.
Well, range of values.
And I don't think he specified, are we supposed to stick exactly with those numbers, or like those numbers are supposed to be just like guideposts for us? So then we say, like, so if we decided, for example, that the M&A transaction, like the mid is 82.5. So can we say like 100?
I think so.
I would think it'd just be a guide.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the equity market value, that's basically if they go public. M&A
Yep.
transaction is personal transaction. Okay.
Yep.
Just
Just if they're acquired. Remember, there was that other, as an existing software company that made
yep.
an offer to buy them.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm that. So I guess, do we want to do like a range for each year?
Or is it like total, like either including all of them? Because then that's 8.3 to 2.18. It's a big range.
I don't think that much of a range, but maybe it's like 160 to 180 million.
Yeah. Yep.
For equity market for current value, and then future value 200 to 225, something like that. Is that what you're thinking, Nathan?
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep. Oh, I'm in view only.
Did I mess it up?
No. Sorry.
What was the number for M&A?
We haven't come on the number yet for MMA, but I feel like 82 is too low.
Yep.
I feel like it should be like 100 to 125.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree.
Should definitely be on the top end of that, because that would be a prime purchase for a private company.
Especially if they're about to become obsolete.
That'd be just the perfect little nudge transition for them to stay relevant.
This doesn't specify if we're supposed to do current value and future value. It just says what value would you place on them.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind us giving 4 ranges. I'm well, can you even really control the equity market range? Because once you go public, you go public.
Well, it's one or the
Really, the
other.
end
So
goal
either
is
he's
the.
doing equity or they're doing,
Mhm.
it's one or the other. Equity will be determined by level of interest. So what they're able to, their investor, the investment bank, what pricing they think they're going to be able to get for the stock and the level of interest.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, we're supposed to vote on final decision on what they should do. And then Natalie, you're supposed to mention the time mark for both of them.
Okay. So, all right, so let's decide for those, what, on this one? Or on the
Yeah.
question?
On the last question for right now and for Brentwood on like what they should do. But before we get to that last question, what exit value will they expect? They will need that.
So it's
Well, let's see. It's 380.
well, it's 49.48, isn't it? That they'll
30 to
get out of
50%.
It's just, that's just the range, but
So at a minimum, they would need to sell for 365 million. So not quite 3 times, but to hit 30% for the Series A
Mhm.
investors.
About. I mean, I'm sure that's not the exact number.
Yeah, it's not the exact number, but it's roughly that.
what was it? 300 what?
365.
And a personal return on, what would you say that? A personal, their company returns of 48 to 49 million each for the investors. Because that's what the company overall has to get, but then the companies individually have to get about 48 to 49 million from that.
Are you referencing the number that those investors would split?
Yeah, that they would get from those, the 33% or 32%. They're from the spreadsheet.
Okay. With the 365, then it would be 46 and 45. Series A would be 46 and Series B would be 45.
Wait, what? You're on the same. Are you on the?
Because are
Is
you
that?
looking at those
Looking
numbers,
at
the 49,
this.
48?
Mhm.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
changed the three times. So if you change the 387 to 365.
Oh, she's just saying like at a minimum for 30%, because this is 32%.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So the minimum for them to be satisfied is 30%. So I kind of like decrease it. So like that's like the
Yeah.
basement,
Yeah.
which would then change how much they would receive if it's the 365.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wouldn't that be though, maybe I'm reading this wrong. Oh yeah, companies return. Yeah, yeah. I would say to Series B investors to specify.
Oh,
Oops. But even if you look at the future values for the equity market, it still doesn't reach the investor threshold.
mm,
Even if you're on the high end, which would be like the 280.
hmm.
Well, if they're going to buy out, at least for the allow the other company next year's road.
Nathan, you cut out. Can you say that again?
Sorry. They said they do it. I guess that. Oh, I see what you're saying. I apologize. Well, yeah, I guess you're right.
So it looks
We can't.
like, okay.
We need to stay under, like, in this range more.
Well, that's my, like, I feel like based on our evaluations above,
Mm-hmm.
the 2 times is more feasible if they waited and did an IPO later. The 3 times I feel like, which is almost needed to satisfy the investors so far, it's not. I don't feel like they're not going to be able to make their investors happy. Okay, so just as a refresher, the options that we're supposed to consider is option 1, accept the acquisition and grow within a larger organization. Option 2A, reject the acquisition and plan an IPO in 2004. Option 2B, reject the acquisition offer and continue to grow organically. So it's IPO, acquisition, or neither are the options. And it says for option 2B, which is just to grow organically, it says, right now did not really need the cash infusion from an IPO. It was cash flow positive and had been for some time. And then of course you have like all the additional costs from the IPO perspective.
And the negative impact that a previous failed IPO already had on them.
Yeah, I feel like they would have gotten a buy on that though, because that was like a special circumstance.
Yeah.
I feel like the benefit of them doing either the acquisition or the IPO is like the visibility
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
resources. But
resources, yeah, deep pockets. That's what they'd be
yeah,
getting.
But like, let's think about it for a moment. As a person who works for a very large company, I don't think his group would thrive in that environment. Like, yeah, deep resources, but also a lot of red tape and people telling you what to do. And um, yeah, I like they've been operating how they want for like since they started. And either the IPO or the acquisition, they would have to answer to other people. I don't like people that are used to operating with autonomy don't do well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially how they've already like redone their system completely like 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
And then
So
expecting like all this growth. It's not creating a fertile ground for growth.
Yeah.
no.
So for this one, I was feeling like the option like 2B, so like organic growth. I think that that's what makes sense for them. Like if they don't need the cash infusion and they can keep on bootstrapping, then
There's plenty of room to grow. Like it said early in the thing, there's so many more companies to get to.
and they're the cutting edge, right? So they're the innovator, the first to market really for this type of software. So
Mm-hmm. And any way around it, they should definitely wait to see what the Salesforce IPO launch is going to bring in a couple of months or a year, whatever it said. So any way around it, if they end up the IPO of the Salesforce, their big competitor, does amazing, then they can reconsider it. But at this moment, I think organic growth is definitely the best.
Salesforce is crazy expensive. I had a demo with them for their environmental carbon tool, and I about passed out when they gave me a quote.
Really?
Yeah.
My dad just retired from Salesforce 1 month ago. He worked for Salesforce.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's a really good company.
Yeah. I hear good things about it, like when you're on the inside, but being on the outside and
Right.
like being like, oh, your tool's really cool. And then they do fancy demos and then they give you a sticker price. It's like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get this approved.
I
I
feel like
don't like
every
this as
company, I
much.
feel like every company uses some form of Salesforce in some aspect of their business.
That was one of their selling points. It's built on the Salesforce platform, integration, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, so Natalie, did you also agree with the
Yep.
option 2B?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So then we'll have to build out that section a little bit more.
Yeah, this is just the agenda, so I'm just putting like bullet points. This is not the assignment, so just
Yeah.
kind of putting what we're talking about. Okay. What's some other, are there other reasons that we're choosing that?
I think the owner's personal purpose and the goal of the company is huge. Because I mean, the whole reason he started it wasn't to make money; it was to make a difference and bring more jobs into Montana.
Yeah. And the company culture too. So remember, he was trying to bring integrity back into this type of business that will get like being absorbed by a larger company, you're going to lose that culture.
Yep.
And then also, I feel like we need to mention that the current our valuation of these options would not satisfy the investors. I think that's going to be like one of the bigger points is that the investors won't be satisfied because it'd be less than the 30% minimum, at least for the Series A, so the original investors.
Which those are the ones you want to make happy anyway. The ones that believed you in the beginning.
Mm,
Hmm.
3 times value.
I'd say
Of their,
close to 3 times the value.
of their current revenue, no?
No, it was oh yeah, from their last valuation.
Yep. Yeah, yep. From their last post money valuation.
Mhm. We can word that better, but
Mhm.
when we put it into
Yeah.
the assignment, but as long as we know what we mean by that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Ready to move on? Well, let's look at the assignment and see what.
Looks like the same versus the notes document.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at the end, so let's do the Brentwood, and then we'll assign everything out on the assignment.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. All right. So Brentwood.
Should we start with the Excel first?
Yep.
So what I was struggling with was, oh, I had the transaction costs is what I was struggling with. I had different numbers for all
Yeah,
of it.
I wasn't sure. I got them from here, but I don't know if that's right.
So the IPO was like written above within, let me see if I can find it really quick.
Oh, how did I do that?
I feel like it was like a part of the case study where it said that they had estimated that an IPO would cost 10 to 13 million.
Yeah. Plus one.
Oh, I got it from here. Wait. Is it here? Because there's the range.
I think that's like general range, and this is looking across. Okay, that's like all the different areas of the cost. I was going off of what
Yeah.
they had estimated the cost would be. Let me see if I can find it. It's on page 8 in the third paragraph. And it says see exhibit 8. Were you looking at exhibit 8?
I was looking at exhibit 8.
Okay. So he based it
Just
off of what
remember
was the
this.
information in Exhibit 8, and they were saying that they were thinking 10 to 13 million. So I did 10 as
And
the
there were other,
low and 13 as the high.
and then there was another 2 million for
That's annual cost, but I
fees or something.
didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I
That's
added that into mine, which we don't have to, but
I didn't include that because that's like a subsequent annual recurring cost. I was thinking that this was probably just like the initial cost, but so what do we want to use for the IPO costs?
the 11 to 13 sounds, I don't know. That's what I put on mine, and I've already actually submitted and graded that assignment.
11.
that-
So like 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, except I added the 2 million, but I don't think that really matters in the grand scheme
All
of things.
estimates. All estimates. So
Yeah,
and then where did you get the 1.2?
Exhibit 9. So I got it from. That's where I got those from.
Okay.
what? How did I get that number?
Wait,
Oh, okay.
what
How
number
did you get
from?
it?
So how I did those was there was a $1 million fee, and then it was a 15%, a 1.5% charge on the valuation from the reading in the exhibit 9. I guess let me go see if I can find it. Maybe I'm crazy. That's a fair
So,
possibility.
so what number did you pull from?
I remember sitting here for like an hour and a half trying to figure out that spreadsheet.
So when 15% of this.
1.5%. And I think that came out of the case itself. I'm trying to pull up the case study, see if I can't find out where that was.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
I think that's connected to the IPO, the 1.5.
Oh,
Because the IPO fee, let's see. The direct cost to the seller would also be much smaller than in the IPO. Oh wait, okay, so I read that wrong. Consisting primarily of a fee to an investment bank for running the sales process, typically 1.5 of the gross purchase price, and a fee to legal counsel in the order of $1 million for negotiating and reviewing. So I like to Nathan's point, $1 million plus the 1.5 of the purchase price.
On the financial buyer. Hey, I wasn't crazy.
on the
Well,
financial buyer.
That's for the financial buyer and the strategic buyer.
So did you do?
So I did -1 minus parentheses the 59, the valuation. Valuation, you put a parentheses around that
You did
times, sorry,
-1 minus this.
Yep. No,
Nope.
because it's $1 million plus 1.5% of the purchase price.
Which would be minus. Because it's a negative. Oh yeah, it'd be adding to yeah. I get what you're saying.
So you need to make one of those negative, and then -1 as well. -1 somewhere in there to add the million.
That?
Yep. You can drag that all the way across and then delete the, yeah.
Is that right? Or should it be the same exact numbers?
It'll
Oh,
be different because the valuation's different.
Yeah.
So is that what you have, Nathan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. Okay. So back to the journal. Okay, what should Brentwood do with Zoe's Kitchen? IPO now, sell to a strategic buyer. Oh, it's asking for one of those. Okay. Is it asking for reasons why on those ones or just to choose one?
No, I think it's just asking us to vote what everybody thinks. My vote would be to the strategic buyer. For sure.
Yeah, that makes more sense than the financial buyer. Why do you think no IPO?
Just because the concern over marketing and then just the fact that they want to kind of be done with this. They have, I feel like, pretty good reason with the little thing they're talking about. It's basically setting up a bidding war between the financial and the strategic buyers. They said they had a good chance to get it up to 20 and for the valuation. I just think that's a much cleaner break. And they're really small. Like, they're a very small company. They'd be the smallest in 15 years. Trying to go IPO. I don't know. For Brentwood, I think it just makes sense just kind of trying to hand that off to somebody else and making a good margin doing it.
Yeah. Okay. So do you agree, Becca?
I agree to avoid the IPO. It's a lot of work. Because I feel like at one point when he was like talking through the options, he was like, oh well, like the investors might be willing to stick around for a couple more years, but an IPO is a lot of work.
Yeah, especially when he's wanting to kind of be done.
They've been in it 6 years now, and he said their usual portfolios 3 to 4 years. So
like, would they be able to get enough interest to get what they want? And
I don't think they should wait and grow the business. I don't think it's gonna increase a whole lot more without some kind of injection.
yeah, and it looks like they would get more from a strategic buyer.
hot right now. Everybody's thinking that fast casual is the thing. they're really profitable numbers wise. They're very comparable to Chipotle and stuff like that. So I think that just makes a lot of sense to just try to set up a bidding war and see how it ends up.
Chipotle's not doing so hot nowadays, though.
Well, I looked them up because I'd never heard of them. Apparently, they only have like, they must have either been bought out or something because they got up to like 240 stores and now they're down to like 40.
I think McDonald's bought them.
Oh, really?
And that's when the company started going downhill.
Mm,
I mean, that makes sense.
I read an article that said that this is totally off subject, but there was a whole lawsuit about a company that sells them the ice cream machines that break them on purpose. It's a strategy because then they contract with certain companies to fix the ice cream machines. And then it's a whole scandal. It's a whole huge thing that they purposefully have them break so that they have to invest money. So the franchisees have to invest money to fix them. And it's in their contract that they have to be working. So they have to pay them to get repaired.
One
What
of the
the heck?
downsides of being a franchisee.
Yeah, it's rough.
Rule of thumb, just work for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
shoot.
company is the most comparable to Chick-fil-A. Our setup is, so it's good. Okay, so why does Brentwood want to exit now?
I mean, it was always part of their strategy. They never meant to be in the long term.
Sorry, what
What
was
did they?
that? It cut out.
Oh, they never meant to be in there long term. So the plan was always, what did they say, like 5 years?
Yeah, they said their average portfolio was 3 to 4 years, and they were 6 years in now. And that even with an IPO, they'd still be involved in it if they went the IPO route. It wouldn't be a complete buyout.
I feel like this is one of the hardest parts of a business is like when to get out.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest,
Yeah.
that'd be a hard business to get into. Financing, being involved head to toe, and then just stepping out and going to a different company. That'd be horrible to me.
I don't know, unless you get bored, unless you're like, mastery is boring. So like once you master it.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so what are some reasons for holding now?
Potential. They could get a lot more money if they held on to it and did an IPO later or sold it later when they had more locations.
Mm-hmm. They also have very strong numbers, especially in the growth over year growth over per restaurant or something like that.
I think you're talking about like the sales, year-over-year sales for each
Yeah,
location.
yep. And there were some other ones that were comparable to the top in the market. Um, they had some really good numbers. They just didn't have the volume.
Well, they were in the process of.
Ah, like I don't even know. Like they tried comparing it. Oh, we're compared to the noodles. But when the noodles went IPO, they had like 360 restaurants, just like 3 or 4 times more than what this one had when they thought they would go IPO.
I read this one a couple days ago. Was it how many store like locations did they have?
They have
Was this the one where they had 50 and they wanted
90.
to open 300?
90.
Oh, 90. Okay. Or
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different case study. All the case studies are blending together.
I do know that they planned on adding 34 the next year.
That's right. And right now they're mostly in the south.
Yep.
Okay, under each scenario, what can go right?
Lots of money on all of them.
Um,
Well,
with a strategic buyer, they would.
Would we need to break out the strategic and financial buyer, or can they just be lumped together?
I think they're lumped together. I mean, it gave in the case pretty strong that they could do a little thing more between the two of them and get a better price. So
Buy out.
Yeah, on the Excel they're
I would
separated
think,
out, but I feel like in the case study they
yeah.
talked about them together. Okay, so for the buyout situation,
They
what
would
would
be
go
down.
right is that it would be less effort.
Well, it'd be a clean exit. Clean
Yeah,
exit for
a
Brentwood.
faster, easier exit.
Yeah.
Like immediate profit.
Yeah. For Brentwood, yeah.
It's more guaranteed because the IPO, there's a lot of risk, I feel like.
Especially being that small and trying to IPO.
Oh, I saw that. Oh my gosh. Um,
They wouldn't be able to find a buyer, would be the wrong, or an agreement falls through, a buyer falls through.
Yeah. Or they'd get less of a valuation than they thought they would. Which I don't know if at that point they could just go back out and go their path. How come they are at the point?
I'm adding one more thing to the right, which is they can stay private, like their
Yeah.
company information stays private.
sorry, I was getting my charger. What did you say, Nathan? What would go wrong? You wouldn't be able to, the agreement doesn't go through. Let's see.
Oh, they
The
couldn't get.
valuation is lower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could lose the valuation. Ooh, my bad.
Okay.
The IPO right would be they make a lot of money. That option will give them the most potentially.
Mhm.
Is there any other advantages or things that can go right with? Seems like that's the
It
money
could still
is-
be involved.
I guess if seems like they don't want to, but
I feel like he seemed a little hesitant to pull out. He seemed like he didn't mind potentially sticking it out a couple more years.
Which I also think that's also the wrong as well, the thing that could go wrong.
Yeah.
But I also think that's more of the view from Brentwood, not the manager.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that could go wrong is that their IPO could fail. So there's no interest. And then all their company information is public.
Hmm.
all right. If we look at this, right?
Apologies. Okay. Are we looking at the how much is Zoe's worth now?
Well, what could go wrong for organic growth?
Oh, organic.
The market could shift for sure. The market could shift away from fast casual dining, and thus the business fails. They could lose ground on competitors in the market without the the money from an IPO. Yeah, market share. That's a much better word. Yeah.
Could take longer.
Opportunity cost for Brentwood. They could have been get a quicker return.
A consensus for what it's worth.
We can just use the middle numbers. Is that what we're going for?
I think we just range for each, and I think for the IPO, it's definitely on
The what?
200 million seems high for this size, right?
I think so.
I I still think it's between those two numbers there, the medium and high for this. You're talking about the strategic buyer, right?
I'm looking at the IPO right now.
I think. Oh, I think the IPO is less than 140. I don't think the IPO is going to go over well for him. Wait, how did you? Oh, I see what happened. I guess just point the 20.9. That average includes the top two ones in the industry that like completely change that scale.
Yeah, I would leave off. Those are like outliers. I would include
Yeah.
them.
So
Nathan,
they
what were
give
the
it
numbers you used?
Yeah, what were your numbers?
14.2 for that one. So if you change that 20.9 to 14.2,
And then what was the next number?
that number stays the same, I think. I mean it just gives the high for the industry. And I definitely think it's going to be closer to these two bottom ones than anything.
And it was 90 locations.
Yeah. I mean, I would think it would be 130. 100 to 130.
I'd agree with that. Do you remember off the top of your head how much it cost to open each location?
I don't know. I don't know if they gave that information, to be honest. I don't remember any numbers being given out for that. I don't think it did because I don't think it talked about like the cost of growth.
Okay.
I think
Let me
this one just.
see if one of the exhibits has it.
Mm.
Mm. Okay. Never mind. Taking us down a rabbit hole.
You're good.
All right. So
right now revenue is 80 million and they're expecting it to be 115 by 2013 and then yeah. In comparison to Noodles, which had 300 million. So
And
based
had
on that, I mean, if their
3 to
revenue's 115,
which one are you on? Which spreadsheet are you
well,
on?
that 17 you were just on it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the one Becca's looking at.
Are you looking at exhibit 7, Becca?
I was reading it within the case study.
Oh. Okay. So let's put on here.
I don't know.
Come up with a consensus as to what Zoe's is worth. So under IPO, we can do a range for this mid. So like, I mean, like 120 to 145, 125 to 145.
I think that's high.
I think it's high.
I
I
mean,
don't
with their
know.
sales at 115, and expecting to continue to grow.
So maybe like a little lower than that, like 110 to 130. On the conservative side.
That sounds reasonable to me. Don't know if Becca would agree with that. I guess I'm just pessimistic for the size more than anything.
Yeah. I can get on board with that.
Because they get higher numbers as they attract bigger investors, and most investors aren't even going to think about them. So I just don't think, whether it's worth it or not, I don't think they'd get it.
Oh, their net income is still negative for 2013.
Okay. So financial buyer. We could do in some, I feel like the middle of the next ones is probably good. I don't know. Do you feel like it's lower on these two, Nathan?
I personally thought just for the purpose of the financial buyer and the strategic buyer, it'd be worth more. Just
It's
because
definitely worth more for the
of the
strategic buyer.
potential. Yeah. And even the financial buyer, I mean, their whole thing is mom and pop or something like that, and like have a store that's sustaining. So I would go high on both of those two. Would be mine. I don't know what those numbers should be though.
Well, it
Exactly.
needs to be lower than the IPO.
So maybe like 80 to 90 on the financial. Or do you think higher?
I think we
I
do
would
80
say
to 90.
higher.
Oh, Nathan, you think higher? Because by nature, I feel like IPO is
Yeah.
supposed to give you a lot more money than
Mm-hmm.
other options. So if we're saying at IPO they'll get 110 to 130, but then for
See, I don't know. I guess I disagree with that just because I think that like it has more value at this point to a financial buyer and a strategic buyer. Because I mean, if it was up at the level of, the numbers of the other top two, I mean, that gap between 142 and 448 is pretty big. Like, I think it definitely has the potential to be one of those noodles company, one of those Chipotle's. I just it has a lot more value to these strategic buyer and financial buyer, and I think that should be evidence in the price. I don't. I guess I don't.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, I'm okay with like not having it lower, go over the IPO. I know that they were saying in the case that they thought that they get it up to 20 of the multiple valuations
For
for
the
it.
buyer?
What's that?
For the buyer?
For a bidding between a financial and strategic buyers. Yeah.
when you say get it up to 20 with 20,
20 times?
Yes, the multiples. It
okay.
talked about in the case one other that was comparable that had that set up and got up to like 21 or something like that, or 20. And even if don't get up quite that high, that's still pretty dang good number.
Then you'd be looking at the strategic number on the high end, which is at 22.
Yep. So
That seems like a lot. But I mean, it is 90 stores or 90 locations. That is a lot.
and it has really good numbers.
Okay. So maybe it is more than the IPO.
Yeah, I think just where they're at in considering the competition, I think that it's possible that it could be higher valued with a buyer. Even though traditionally the IPO is supposed to be higher and bring in more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that it won't perform as well because of the few locations and it's not nationwide, it's only in the South.
So the main drawback of a private sale was that valuations tended to be lower in the private markets compared to the public markets. In the same restaurant, merger and acquisition transactions completed in the past 3 years, the average multiples paid by financial sponsors and strategic investors were 8 times and 13 times respectively. This compared to an average current valuation of 21 times trailing EBITDA for publicly traded fast food restaurants. So they were saying the high was 21 times, but the average was actually 3 and 13.
13?
8 and 13, sorry.
Oh, 8.
Being said. Yeah. So they're placing a lot on if they can get into a competitive auction.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I'm on the wrong case study. That's great. That helps me out a lot.
There's a lot of them.
Oh, I'm going to be so excited to delete everything off of my computer after this.
Okay, so back to valuation for financial strategic. So I guess like first, do we want to combine them so it's like the same pricing, right? So the idea that they're going to be in a bidding war, so targeting about the same. And what if we did like 100 to 125?
Yeah, I'm okay with going down on those numbers. That's fine with me. Either way, I think is reasonable. Definitely the strategic would be higher than the financial, but I think those numbers are definitely justifiable.
Yeah, I feel like 22 is just like a special outlier
Mm-hmm.
where they're more likely to get like around that 8 to 13. So that's like 85 to 140.
Yeah. Which I think that, if they played their hands right, they could definitely have one year, bidding wars. But I think those numbers are a lot more conservative and justifiable.
For the IPO?
No, for the financial and the strategic, what Becca was saying.
Because it broke it up to in all three. We have to do those separate, financial and strategic.
Well, we can combine them and then explain why, which is
Okay.
they're planning on
Yeah.
competitive auction.
Oops. Okay. What was that page that you were getting all those numbers off of on that?
Page 9, which is tied to what's in exhibits 9 and 10.
Okay. All right, so what differences do you observe in the valuations based on who buys the company? I assume that means like the financial and the strategic.
Well, on the IPO as well.
Yeah, the IPO.
I mean, IPO, you're selling to a broader group, so that's part of why I feel like you can get more money is because more people are buying into it.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot safer for them.
Lower risk.
Lower risk for the big mega billion-dollar banks versus investment groups that this is their heart and soul into it.
Strategic, I thought typically would pay more because the business that they're buying is likely critical to their strategic plans for their company.
Financial. Not as much.
I don't know. Financial, they mentioned private equity. I'm not a huge fan of private equity.
Mm-mm. We're looking for a lower price.
Yeah. Private equity is all about making money.
Very fast. 3 to 5 years and you're done. I mean, that's what Brentwood is.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they talked about how Brentwood was a bit different from the usual. They were more interested in long-term.
Venture capitalist type investments.
Yeah. I personally would never sell to a financial just because I know they dismantle all the work that you did.
Mhm.
Get it for all it's worth.
Yep.
Why would anyone want to sell to a financial buyer instead of IPO?
Less work. It's faster.
Fast money.
Guaranteed money. IPO, you're not really sure. and you also relinquish a lot of the control if you're an investment in it.
You want to get out quickly for some reason.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. We did it up.
All right, so we just need to convert some of those into this assignment.
That's pretty close. So who wants to do what I think right now is probably one part and then breaking up the Zoe?
Yep, I'll do the right now.
Okay.
I'll do whatever's left of the other one. The Zoe. Whichever one you want to take, Becca.
Oh, wait, no. How do you add the name on it?
The
Becca.
comment box.
How do you assign it to somebody like that?
It's the little comment plus box in the toolbar. It's next to the link.
Oh, well, I did have it. Oh, okay.
Well, there's 6 like sections, so someone could take the what should Greg do potentially, and then the worth of Zoe or Zoes, whatever it's called. Nathan, do you have a preference?
I don't. I'm good with whatever. To be honest, I'm kind of just doing this assignment because you guys have been a good group. I didn't want to ditch you on the last one.
Natalie, I'll take the one that you have highlighted right now.
Okay.
Thanks, Nathan. It's the last one.
Last one, best one.
Last one. Oh my gosh.
Well, besides our own, like the final, but
Yeah.
Dude, have you guys looked at that? That's only like 9 pages.
the case study.
Yeah. And there's no Excel document.
Well, that just might mean that you need to create your own.
That may be true. Which I think would be kind of weird, seeing that he hasn't made us do that the entire time.
Well, but we've been learning with these other case studies, and so the final is going to be like, think about everything that we've done, including all the Excels that we use to do evaluations and stuff like that. So it could be at like it's going to be the same standard of providing data and numbers and justifications for your decision. So I bet you need to create your own numbers to justify. I haven't looked at it yet. I'm so behind. I'm just gonna try to like pass my classes this semester.
Understandably.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling my husband this morning that I was like, I need to figure out this like nights because little baby Jack he's going through things. So he wakes up like every hour.
Oh no.
And he is going through this phase where he just wants to be held all the time. So like I get him to sleep and I put him down, and then 5 minutes later he's awake and then wants to be held. And so I have him in a bassinet next to me, and he slept for a good chunk, but then he got super fussy, and I kept on trying to like put him to sleep and put him down, and then I'd have to pick him up again. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and he was sleeping on my legs. And